He's like, Daddy, come play with me. And you're like, no, I want to record.
2022, Mado, what's been
No
going
comments,
on?
man. No comments on that one.
Yeah, no comments. But the jokes aside about the 2022, you want to kick us off this year? Tell us how you kicked it off?
Yeah, man. Yeah. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Bright Daddy Ducks. Madu right here. It's been a great start of the year. Which really quickly escalated. I got the vid, mate. I got the vid last week. I woke up with a sore throat and was like, well, what's going on? What's up with this throat? Let me do a quick test and boom. The vid. Right in my face.
Gotcha. The big gotcha.
I had to quickly call school, say, hey, send back my kids. Please, real quickly. Don't want to do more damage than I've already done. Everybody home. Chop.
Had you already sent your kids to school before
first day? It was the first day back to school, and it was the last day again. So it's like they've had like a 4-month break now, almost. No, not 4 weeks break since last year. So, and now we're home. We're isolating.
What's the biggest problem? What's the biggest problem? That you had to bring your kids back, or that you had the vid?
I mean, honestly, truthfully, it's been all right. I mean, this time around, I'd say it was fairly mild, but having the kids around, isolating is probably not the kids already. Love having the kids around. Love you guys. Kids, just really do.
You got that shady look in your eyes.
Exactly. I do love you. But yeah, working from home with kids. Not the most ideal scenario, which really, like, I think back to last year, I'd say, like every other country in the world when they isolated, and we were like the only ones who had schools open, kindergarten open, and we could send our kids. Like, I don't know how they managed, but everyone else.
I was gonna just say that. I was just gonna say, remember back, like, I think that's 2020. Like, Sweden's that country in the world where everyone's like, oh, they're not doing isolation, they're not doing restrictions, they're not doing that stuff.
They're crazy. What are they doing over there?
Rated E10 for ages 10 and up.
I used to sing with my kids. It's exactly that. It's been a while.
Really?
Skål, banana.
Go, banana. Go, banana.
Oh, banana. Yeah.
Incoming!
No!
This will be fun. Just beat them down.
How do you hit? Oh. Like that.
Oh! What's that? Uh-oh. Oh. Oh! Gonna get you.
Oh, wow.
New year, new game.
New year, new game. Indeed, bro. Indeed. It's been
Wanna
fun.
tell us what we played?
Oh, I can tell you all about what we played. It was Worms of Mass Destruction. I don't even know if it's Weapons of Mass Destruction or it's WMD, so who knows what it stands for. I'd say it's probably Worms of Mass Destruction or something like that, but that's just me. So Worms WMD is not the most recent game, right? but
it's Worms. It's a classic. I mean, we used to play Worms as a kid, so definitely that we need to pick up the latest Worms game, right?
Yeah, it probably is the latest Worms game. I had to think for a while there, but it probably is the latest Worms game. But yeah, it did not feel like the latest Worm game. It felt pretty much like the oldest Worm game. Like it's pretty much to the roots.
No.
Some changes, but it felt pretty much like Worms. Worms the way I remember it, at least.
Oh yeah, definitely Worms the way I remember it, and
some new things, but yeah.
If we start off by talking about how easy it is to get into this game, because that's exactly what you're hitting the notes on right now. It's such a classic concept, and it really just went back to the roots because I've tried the 3D version, and that was painful.
That's him finished. All systems go.
It's easy to get into, but I feel like there's a lot of depth, and there's still a lot of things, a lot of menus, a lot of things to try and figure out, and it's not like and it's the fun of Worms anyway, like figuring out every weapon and everything, every shot, and what everything does. That's part of Worms. So,
and I used to play it like back in the really old day. I was introduced to it when I was way below the age, the appropriate age for Worms, I guess.
What's the appropriate age for Worms? It seems like it's the most kid-friendly game.
I'm pretty sure if you're under 10 back in the day, Worms wasn't exactly your kid-friendly. It wasn't the kind of game you were encouraged, but what I want to say is that it's just better graphics. That's it. I mean, there's a lot of new weapons that didn't exist back in then. There's a crafting system, but just to get you started, it's super easy. It's like all the old Worms games, and this time I was back on my bike. Oh no!
Goodbye.
Don't let life's too short to be alone.
You ain't got much
Have you
time.
gone soft?
Oh no. I think you screwed yourself.
I screwed that pooch. Was this an easy game to get into? What's the Mado standpoint on that? But I'm gonna try to convince you and just go and say this is cheap. This was really cheap to get this game. And
okay, if we have yes, I agree. Then if we have a bar for how cheap the game should be, then yes, this is.
I just have to find some
also
ways
easy way to
really
get
like
into.
this game.
Yes, I mean it is easy to get into that way, right? It's a cheap game to get into, so. Hey, not much. At least during Steam sale, it was cheap, extremely cheap. But yes,
true story.
I do always wonder though. Is like one of the games one of the Worm games I played the most was Worms 3D on Xbox, which is like I guess not the best of the games in the series, and usually none of the 3D games are highly regarded, if even regarded at all. So I'm always wondering why the hell why is it problematic to go 3D for Worms, especially since I don't want to get too technical, but I mean usually this was a problem for a while for all I feel like the British studios, so Team 17 inclusive. They all used to make these lovely 2D games like Lemmings and Worms, and boom, 3D happened, and they're like, okay, wait, how do we do this? And that's where Rare shined, etc. And everyone who actually had some 3D knowledge, they're like, boom, oh, these are great studios right there.
I think for me, I mean, the 3D, if we're going to talk about that, the 3D issue was for me, the issue with 3D was the timer, I think.
Okay.
Like you had so many decisions and so many directions and so much more to do with your work, but you still had that timer, 30 seconds or 45 seconds, and you need to move, you need to do something, you need to plan, you need to execute, you need to get away, run before the dynamite detonates,
And I also don't really remember how deformed the world would be in 3D, if even deformed at all, like a destruction. I don't know how big of how much the world was destructible in that sense, like the 2D version, which isn't really destructible. It's more like a mask removing a little bit of a picture, etc. But hey, it's all right. It was fun. Rather generally, it was easy to get into somehow. After a while, definitely clicked, but for the first 2 rounds, it was like, wait, how does this game even work anymore?
I'm giving this game we're giving it ducks or rubber ducks now along the journey. I'm giving this game, when it comes to easy to get into, it's getting my duck of approval on that, definitely.
It was, I'd say I agree somewhat there. The only problem I had is the first rounds or two is probably gonna be a little bit hard to get into, but after that, I mean, it's also fun. Like learning the game is a fun exercise, so it doesn't matter. That's another bothersome thing. So, boom, hit it with a duck of approval.
Oh, come on! Such a nice worm.
This can go anywhere it chooses.
What you gotta do him? My issue that I've always had with Worms in general is single player. To put that's where my biggest issue with Worms has always been, and I can't imagine playing this game really intensely on my own. I know you like, swap, playing that on your own, for example, having to, but I remember it's just training. It's like playing FIFA, only training levels or stuff like that.
I mean, there is exactly. You just if you feel like the game is fun enough, and part of the fun is not having fun with your friend. I guess it's have to be like that merit. It has to stand on its own, because a lot of games are fun with friends. Then sure, but I mean, this was one of those games as well where I didn't even feel like I wanted to play this single player. I don't want to even bother with it. Just if I have people around or someone to play with, then yes, sure.
Sure, but from my end, what I want to say is that it gets boring if you play single player, because the AI isn't, either it's hardcore. It's going to pulverize you. It's going to know exactly how to use the wind. It knows exactly how to throw a dynamite with an impossible curve that's going to hit you and kill you, or it'll suicide every round.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, the AI usually or has in the past been pretty much shit. Like, at least if you go turn it all the way up, then it's gonna be like it can precisely calculate exactly where it should be throwing something and with what power. So it's not like it's a mathematical question. So for the AI, super easy to do. For you, probably not the easiest thing in the world. And also, it's like part of the fun with Worms is seeing you like humiliating your friends, or boom, hitting them with a weapon right on. Like, that's the whole kind of concept of it for me, at least. So no,
I wouldn't give it a duck on the single player.
No ducks of approval for me either, actually. Not on the single player aspect of it. Don't play this game alone. Boom. Have a plan. Mind games. They worked last time.
But that's where we go into where you should play this game, and I mean, I do enjoy playing it multiplayer. I'm gonna say that I do enjoy playing it multiplayer solely.
The definitive way to play Worms.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad, but the problem with it, and one of the things that I've been thinking about since then, it's like playing a crazy version of chess. And there's a lot of, just like chess, of course there's a clock, there's a timer, but there's also some dead space in between there where you can just have a chat with your friend.
Yeah,
especially if you're playing more than 2 players.
I agree. It's certainly one of those chill with your friends, talk while playing kind of game, where there's a couple of those games that I really like. I mean, it's one of them, but it's it's this things like it's golf with your friends, anything like that, where there's downtime to talk whilst maybe someone is doing their turn, and then boom, next game.
I mean, this is where multiplayer can actually hurt this game, I'd say, because if you're too many friends, they're going like, okay, come on.
Yeah, sure. I mean, if you're 8 players on this thing, which I actually have done, I've done this as a team building exercise for whatever reason. We were 8 players. That's not fun at all. 8 teams just sitting there waiting for everyone. Now it's my turn, right? Correct.
And you forget it's your turn. The clock runs out,
and then when you die, you're literally just watching the screen and maybe just chatting. Right? We played with 2 worms each, so.
Oh, that's. And you just end up in the middle amongst everyone, and you're the last turn, and that can be hurtful. But as long as you're playing with a fair amount, so like 2-3 players, 4 maybe. Let's throw in Mighty Sam in the game. That's still enjoyable because you get some downtime, and I definitely give it my duck for multiplayer.
Multiplayer duck for approval. Slap it on. Man, like that.
So, quick question: this wasn't your strongest game back in the day, right?
No, really. Oh man! Boom! Slap it on. All right, cool.
But then comes the tricky one. So you can play this with Mighty Sam. Can you play this with Joe? Can you play this with? When Lucas is ready, can I play this with my kids?
I mean, I'd say 8 years old, or it's probably a good age. Okay, probably even younger. Yes, I can play this with Joe. I don't know if he has the patience, or we don't play turn-based games that much, other than board games, like physical board games. He waits for his turn, but video game, he usually just wanna bam, bam, bam. I wanna just play real time. What are you talking about? I don't wanna sit there and wait for my turn. Yeah, it's almost always like that. Oh, gotta go, gotta play, gotta run, gotta do this. So
this definitely is a game you need to get him to play just to teach him some patience.
Yeah, it's either this one or we start playing some. Actually, he has started now playing Pokemon games. It's the first time, so it's like with some turn-based battles. At least he's getting that whole concept a little bit, and he's enjoying them. So who knows? But I think the thing that would make this great is probably all the crazy violence. I think and the fun, situation you might end up in. Right, that's the big sell, which we might both enjoy in that sense. Right, it can be fun for me and fun for him.
And I mean, from my end, I'll definitely give this a try. I mean, whatever version of Worms. Hopefully in 2D is out there when Lucas is ready. But I mean, my thoughts on this is that I love that they still keep it fun. The voices of the worms are comical. These are. I'm surprised. I need to do some research. Do you know if they ever did any cartoon shows with worms? I mean,
not that I know of actually, but yeah.
This would have been fantastic.
There's been, I agree. And it was the same thing with Lemmings. I think they even did a cartoon show with Lemmings. Like, it was the same thing where everyone wanted to say, oh, these are characters, fun characters. You can slap anything on. You can have them wear this, have them do that, have them do this. So I mean, I don't know why they didn't go that route. At Ubisoft, they do have rabbits, so it was one of those things again, like just. Something you can slap anything on, and boom, you have a big franchise, right?
I'm super amazed that they did not go a cartoon show with Worms. At least nothing I've seen. If you do G.I. Joe for toys, if you do cartoons, you should have done Worms back in the days. They have these quirky voices. They have these. You just need a narrative around it, and bam, that's a success right there. Because a little bit of violence is okay, especially when it's so cartoonish and unrealistic and quirky voices. I think that fits kids pretty nicely.
Yeah, I agree. There is definitely something there that could have been. Who knows? Honestly, back then in the 80s or the 90s, I don't even know when the first Worms really came out. But I mean, like. Were we into worms? Like, we have watched a show with worms in it? Like, I don't know.
I think we would have. Maybe. I mean, I would have. I know I would have.
Yeah.
And
I'd prefer watch something like a Mario or maybe Sonic or something like that. And I did, actually. So
they did do that.
Yeah, exactly. So,
and to add to that, cartoons were a little bit more violent back then.
Yeah, that's true.
They did James Bond as a cartoon. They did... like you said, they did Captain and Nintendo, and they did Sonic, and that was they did a Thundercats, SWAT Cats. Violence wasn't in cartoons was okay, and so
I don't know if it was okay. Let's not listen, but it was tolerated.
I'm not saying it should be okay. Just a disclaimer. I'm just saying it was, as you say, it was tolerated. It was okay. And so I'm amazed they didn't do Worms. But I'll definitely still give this my Blue Duck playing with kids approval.
Yeah.
Just-
I agree. I do the same thing. What is that?
This canvas is your world. Let your imagination.
How did you shoot the sheep?
There's nothing to worry or fret over.
I wouldn't give it my quirkiness, my special pink duck, for quirkiness. Even though I do
the
like
pink duck. The pink duck.
This can go anywhere it chooses.
No. And I want to be truthful and say I'm sort of on the fence. I don't know. I want to hear. Would you recommend this game? Because
like the reasons, we already brought up a lot of good reasons to recommend it, which is like, okay, it's price point, it's fairly cheap, you can play a lot of players at the same time, you can do a lot of things, actually can remote play, do a lot of these things that this game support. But not only that, it's like a great version of Worms. Like if you're gonna find some version of Worms that works today in today's day and age and machines and everything, then this is probably the one. I wouldn't go far back in the catalog and try to find something, that, let's see if this works or this doesn't work. I'd say just go with this one.
I mean, would you
It's
say
the
game
latest and
stands
it's good.
would you say the game stands the test of time?
Yeah, something like that, right? It's definitely a version that still holds all what old Worms was, and it feels modern enough. The graphics don't look completely crap. They look good. The worlds, the details, it's fairly detailed, but I mean, it's like still 2D, and the physics are fun. There is that too, some modernization about it, but it has a lot of these social features that are good, and you can, like I said, play a lot of players, etc. But it's not the most compelling game to play alone, etc. And if you don't have someone to play with, we're recommending this for dads, so I guess for dads, sure, if you have a kid you can play this with, then hey, this is a good one to start.
I mean, from my end, I'm really on the fence on this one. I mean, you're making good, solid arguments.
Boom! Purple dot on this one.
But from my end, I mean, the one thing that actually stuck out for me was how easy it was to get into, but then the single player is not there. It's the jokes are the same old jokes, and I sort of lack something new and fresh in it.
It's not exactly. That's what I mean. It's not like a new fresh take on Worms. It's just the old Worms in a modernish take that's not completely gonna revamp. That does not revamp or does anything new necessarily. Just some couple of new things. Oh, here's crafting. Here is this. If even crafting is new, I don't even know. Like if it's generally a new concept in Worms or.
I mean, I barely touched the crafting, to be honest.
But I mean, it's still
it requires so many rounds to do it. So I mean, I'm not gonna give it a purple duck. Let's say it like this. You gave it a purple duck. I'm not gonna give it because it doesn't have my seal of approval. If you're a dad and your time is limited, to make the effort, play this game. If you're gonna, make an effort to play games, this isn't the game I would recommend you to spend that effort on. But if your friend says, "Hey, I've set up Worms for us. We're 3 players," then sure, then go in there, have fun.
Yeah,
have a tea, a beer, whatever beverage you prefer. But I wouldn't invest time. I wouldn't be the person setting it up, to put it like that. So it's not getting in my.
I get it.
Purple ducks.
It makes sense. All right.
And happy to be back in the Talking Games chair with you, Mado.
It's been a while. I've enjoyed the break from you, but now it's fun to have you back. Fun to be back. Let's do this.